Welcome back to another episode of Forbidden Depths. I'm your host, Queen Frostbitten, and we're here today to get down, dirty, and sultry by staying open, educated, consensual, and safe. If you're returning, welcome back to another episode. Thanks for supporting the channel and its growth. If, of course, you're new here, make sure you follow, like, and subscribe, because one taste will never be enough. Awesome. Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Forbidden Depths. Today, we are welcoming back an amazing guest that we've had previously. Of course, I'm going to let her introduce herself, and she's going to introduce who she has with her today.
Hi, Goddess Amanda here. Thank you for having me again. I love you.
You're so welcome. And first of all, I got to tell you that if you're only listening and you're not watching the YouTube version, you're missing out because she looks hot as fuck today.
My husband right here, my husband. Say hi.
Hi.
My husband picked it out. He was like, "You got to wear this. I think this is gonna look beautiful on you." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, all right. I like it."
Yeah, fuck yeah, it looks amazing. So today it's going to be a little bit different. Usually we have one guest. Here recently we did multiples. Today we have this amazing couple. Now they're going to kind of tell us a little bit more about their relationship. Amanda, kind of tell us how you and your husband met.
Ooh, okay. So very juicy, very quick. We got over Instagram. I was posting on because I have a Chihuahua and he has a Chihuahua. His mom and his dad had a Chihuahua, and he was posting pictures of Chihuahua. I was posting pictures of my baby Candy. That's her name. We still have her. She's old. She's 14 years old. And then we started liking each other's algorithm, and then we just crossed paths on Instagram. And I was in Canada and he was in Pittsburgh, and he was in the seminary. And we both started talking about our Chihuahuas. Next thing you know, we're video chatting with each other through Instagram. I was telling him about my work in Canada and in Cuba, and he was telling me about the seminary. And we were talking about Chihuahuas, and we fell in love.
Yep. And 2 weeks later, she came for the first time on, I think it was my 30th birthday. Yeah, it was my 30th birthday.
Yeah.
2 weeks after we met online, I flew her in to see me.
Nice. So who made the first step in the relationship to want to make it official?
Me.
Of course.
She was shy. I pushed, and it didn't meet much resistance. We clicked instantly.
It was spontaneous. It was just like, it was to the point that I was like, is this really, like, I have to pinch myself. Like, is it really happening? Like, am I really falling in love, like, with this man? Is this man really falling in love with me? And are we really understanding each other and connecting in a spiritual way, like way beyond just the physical?
Right.
And support each other, right? Because he was going through his thing and I was going through mine, and we were like in total opposite. Like, he was, I'm like whipping ass all across the world.
Yeah.
Right.
So he originally, I know back whenever we had our previous interview, you said that originally you guys just kind of had the animals in common. He didn't know kind of who you were, and then you did voice chatting and you explained everything. So kind of tell us
all in one night.
Yeah. So kind of tell us how you received that information whenever she was explaining it to you, whenever she's telling you that she is a dominatrix. How did you receive it?
Just no different than anyone else tells me anything. I mean, at the time, the diocese I was with was paying me to go to law school. And I was reading all about what was going on in the news at the time, and nothing really surprised me.
Right.
And, you know, at that time, there was so much in the news about so much wrongdoing priests were doing, getting
Mhm.
themselves into, and what they were involved in. It
Right.
was very mild to what I had been exposed to, and it was no surprise. And I just kind of listened, and I remember my so when you enter a seminary, you go through something called a canonical interview.
Mhm.
And it's basically a very lengthy interview where the heads of the seminary, the rector, vice rector, and at times the bishop of the diocese comes in and asks you questions that are supposed to really throw you off. And it's basically like an interrogation with the police. They ask you the same thing 5 times, see if your answers change.
Right.
And I remember during the interview, they asked me the question, "Do chains and whips turn you on?" And I answered, "Nope, nope." And I'm like, "Do they really know me or something? They've been on my fucking computer." And I just kept a straight face during the whole thing. And later, the vice rector comes in and says, "Do you know what the letters BDSM mean?" And I'm like, no. And I guess this is a common thing with priests. Well, obviously,
I think all men.
yes, all men. I obviously know about the story of what happened in New Orleans, and it did. I'm guessing that's what motivated them to put that in a interview, because these interviews are organized, made by a bunch of old men that are in the United States that talk about current issues. I don't know, but I'd already been exposed to BDSM, had a small interest. She didn't know that, but I was just fascinated when she told me about it, and it didn't scare me or anything.
All men are. I think I'd be walking down the street with my husband, and we're like, going on a dinner date or whatever, and I'm like, ooh, he's a slave. Ooh, he's a slave. Ooh, he's a slave.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just feel like all men are, submissive and picky, and it's just society that puts it upon them, that it's frowned upon and it's taboo, right?
Yeah. And that was actually one of the reasons I started going into becoming public about being a dom. It's because so many people, give doms a bad rep. Like, they think that you should just always be dressed in latex and like beating the shit out of people. Like, they think that's all you do all day. And that's not true. Like, I've literally had people just have cuddle sessions that are just like, I just need to be touched. You know what I mean? And there's all kinds of people with all kinds of different needs. And it's just crazy that they're like, oh, well, if you go to a dominatrix, it's because you're weak. No.
That has nothing. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite.
Exactly.
It's the opposite. You need to heal something, and we're providing you the space and this
controlled
space
environment that's safe.
And consensual.
Yes.
And you can tell us anything, and we're just gonna listen, and we're gonna work this out with you. You're not alone. We're gonna do this together.
Yes, 100%. 100%. I fucking love it. So I know you said that you had like a small exposure to BDSM. So before Amanda, did you have any real life experience, or was it just like online experience?
Through previous businesses I was in, there were some adult entertainment that I was involved in, that
when you were younger.
That explore, that had BDSM content. So in that sense, yes.
So basically, like almost like online. I think everybody nowadays is online too. And
Yeah.
it messes up
was-
what they come, sorry,
Yeah,
I didn't want to interrupt, but I think it shows it's like bad sometimes that they come to us and they be like, "Ooh, I want this big of a toy."
Mhm.
That's unrealistic.
Yeah.
You gotta work up to that.
Yes. 100%. And I've experienced the same thing with like the toys and with the spanking even. People are just like, I've never been spanked before and I just want the shit beat out of me. I was like, have you ever had the shit beat out of you? Because it's not going to be as exciting the first time as you think. Like you have to build up in steps, right? I'm
Yeah.
okay if you consensually want the shit beat out of you, but know what you're asking for. Take baby steps, not giant leaps.
Exactly. And then it's like almost like they're disappointed if you don't do it to their extreme. But it's because
Yeah.
we know best. So I
Yes.
love submissive that will come up to me and say, whatever you want, goddess. I'm at your mercy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
It's
know,
like, I'm here to make you happy. I'm here to feel.
exactly. Take the control.
Yeah. Like, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
What
That's what we
did you
want every time.
at all?
no,
He never expected anything from me. He just, I remember the
we-
first time we played, it was more like, whatever you want, my beautiful woman. Like,
Mhm.
I give you my soul, I give you my body. We're here, we're now, whatever you want.
Right.
yeah, we got into the relationship aspect and then developed a slave dominant relationship alongside and they intertwined.
Yeah.
Right.
But the relationship came and then the DS developed right in the same timeline because the first night we played and I was totally it was some of the best play we've ever had
Mhm.
because it was just new and groundbreaking for me to
Right.
actually not be on the business aspect of it, but to be, the slave in it. Now, I do agree with what you're saying before that a lot, especially the professionally marketed in the film studio content that's out there creates a very unrealistic
Approach.
an unrealistic image of what to expect in a true dominatrix experience.
Right.
You're this is not going to feel good. This is a real torture device.
Can you see it?
Yes.
A flogger, it can be used to feel good. I mean,
Like,
light tapping, butterfly kisses with a bullwhip, what have you. But these are weapons. And these slaves that come and say, Goddess, please beat me, need to know what they're getting into. It's not going to be like it is on a film production set. These guys are trained and taking stuff, and these aren't dominatrixes. I can attest these are not true women that have sessions for a living. These are actresses.
Right.
And there's a whole film crew and medics standing by in case someone screws up.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
It's just a whole different world, and it really, you guys have to know, no, it's not going to be that.
Right.
And some slaves get disappointed because that's what's up here.
And part of it, I feel, is because they have these unrealistic expectations that they just kind of get fixated on. So they watch one of these movies that they think, oh, well, that's a really cool scene. That would be really good in person. And then that's like a really harsh scene that they think is, oh, well, this should be my first scene ever. I am not one to think anybody should have an extremely harsh scene the first time that they experience that, because one, it makes you want to turn away from BDSM. And two, it makes you uncomfortable to try new things, because then you're giving this taboo for yourself. If I have something that I've never experienced, and And if I try it for the first time, maybe I won't like it and it'll be like this. Like that's not how it works. And you're shooting yourself in the foot, right? Like you're
Oh,
killing
yeah.
the potential.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, and I knew, but the first night we were together, she would not peg me. She
Mhm.
used her hook on me, but she would not. And I am very thankful she would not
I
peg.
did beat your butt though. I
That's
told her
always your thing.
he has a bubble butt.
Mhm.
So I made his butt look like a hamburger.
Mhm.
Oh, and then I will get pissed off because
I heal
he heals
very,
so
very quick. I
quickly.
have a
And then I will go home, right? I will fly back home like the next day or something, and then I'll be like, ooh,
ask for
let's
pictures,
ask for pictures or videos. Ooh, let me see my mark.
all gone.
Fucking God. I would be so pissed and so mad, but then it would just incent me to come back and
For
come back and
for
redo it
the
again.
for the first 6 months of the relationship, one week I would be in New York on the
Yeah.
weekend. The second week, she would be in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And that happened almost every weekend for 6 months. And at the 6 month mark, we got engaged.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He got
Uh,
on his knees with his collar on,
I
and he
love
was
it.
like, here's a Louis Vuitton bag and a ring. He's
I
like,
love it.
so you can carry the whips and the, whatever. And then would you marry me? Yes, yes, I would. All right, all right. Let's just, tie the knots. But I got
Yeah,
pregnant. I got pregnant. So we
I
I got
love it.
pregnant. That the wedding had to be pushed over
Mhm.
till
Mhm.
after I gave birth.
Well, I fucking love it. That is fucking adorable. So tell me kind of I know you left being a priest. So whenever you transitioned over into your new life.
so I was in school to be a priest. We lived as priests. We weren't supposed to be dating. I broke that rule.
Yeah.
Um, we weren't supposed to be seeing dominatrixes, and I had to make up a lot of excuses why I was flying to New York every other week and why I wasn't going to be in the dormitory on the opposite weekend. So there was a lot of lies on my end, which I had no problem of because I saw the bullshit and
Right.
hypocrisy of the diocese and
Right.
the Catholic Church in America. But so I left, you know, it was right before our first,
Was it before or after I got pregnant?
it was before. It was right before the trip to Dominican Republic.
Oh, right.
It was at the Christmas party, and
I
it
took
was
him to
right,
New York to meet my dad and my family and all of
Mhm.
that to get their blessings,
Right.
and it was right after a big they were having well, they call it's a big convention. They call them convocations on priesthood and porn addiction.
Mm.
They knew that I was on the business end of it. I was honest about that in my canonical interview.
Right.
And they wanted me to speak at this. Now, of course, they wanted me to speak their
Right.
curriculum.
dialogue. I got up there and I said exactly the opposite. So what they wanted to fucking hear. And the next day was the bishop's Christmas party, which I went to. And they kind of pulled me aside and basically said, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And I
Right.
said, I'm leaving. I'm not going to be back. I'm leaving. I'm going out of town, but when I get back, I will by all means clean out my dorm
Right.
and my apartment. And that was that.
Which in his dorm, in his apartment, he had a pair of my boots.
Mm-hmm.
He had a toy. He had a few things.
This is true. It was left with me that day because I knew they were gonna go through everything. So anything I cared about, I
You took
got out of there.
Right.
It went, it was left in my car on our trip to DR, but yeah, I definitely left with some fireworks.
Mm.
But transitioning back to regular life was not hard, other than, it was maybe a month and a half after I left that she got pregnant with our twin boys, and that was a whole adventure on its own that I
Right.
wasn't ready for.
We
But
weren't ready. Who's ready for twins?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
ended up finishing my theological degree at the university I was going to. I have been pastorally active in other churches,
Mm-hmm.
so not the Catholic Church, but
Right.
I switched churches, and they're all more welcome to have me, more accepting, more realistic churches, because sex and spirituality do go hand in hand.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
it's ridiculous that there's this medieval mindset that
Right.
why there was a schism in the two of them is beyond me. I mean,
Yeah.
I hate that. I mean, this is the line that everyone's going to jump to, but Mary Magdalene walked with Jesus. She was a
Yeah.
sex worker.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a
100%.
reason Jesus chose her, and she's not even named as an apostle, but she walked with Jesus as much as any of the other 12.
Yeah.
But she's not named as one of the 12, but I don't know why. And
Right.
why she wrote, just like Matthew, Luke, John, so on. She wrote a book too, but her book is apocryphal for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
I always go back to, it's one of those things where I feel like there were individuals in power that only wanted certain things to be seen, only wanted certain things to be heard. And I feel like that's one of those things.
yes,
Like,
it is.
they want to shine negative light on certain aspects. One, to control people, which you kind of witnessed yourself within the Catholic system. It's like everybody just tries to fit their own agenda. It's like, you have to live this certain way, and you have to do these certain things, and you have to do them a certain way. Like, you can be spiritual and not do everything exactly like that, but they want you to believe that you
Absolutely.
have to.
Right. Right.
Right.
So
It's fucked up.
that's exactly what I said. It's super fucked up because, well, I share that with you all. It's one of those things. I'm very spiritual. I serve faithfully, but people see a sex worker and they're like, you don't love Jesus. Jesus doesn't love you. God doesn't love you. Like, what? Who said God didn't love sex workers?
Right.
Let me ask you this. Do you ever to your posts and your advertising, do you ever get these scripted messages? Hi, I'm Pastor so-and-so. Let me bring you $500 to help get you out of your bad situation.
Oh my goodness. And that's becoming more prominent. I seen somebody else posting.
I've noticed it, and I love blocking them as they come in. I mean, what
So you get them too?
Yeah.
What a load of bullshit. That is passing judgment in the worst fucking way.
Yeah.
I mean,
and realistically, even if you were trying to help someone, how's $500 going to do anything for them?
Thank you.
right.
Like, what's $500 going to do for me? Like,
Right.
that don't even pay rent, like half of rent.
That's not even food shopping for a week for the family anymore.
Well, I actually went to the store a few days ago, and I can remember going in the grocery store, spending $200 and getting a cart full. Now I had like 15 bags, and it was over $300.
Right.
Yep.
Like,
And that's even going to Aldi's, because
Yeah.
you really got to get the sales
Yeah.
and get the discount. to get 15 bags for 5 or 300.
Yeah. And that was the craziest thing to me. Like, all these people are like, oh, well, let me save you from this environment. Here's like, what's that money going to really do? Like, that's not going to do anything, because in order for you to change your lifestyle, that's it. You have to completely change your lifestyle. So
Right.
$500 one-time payment, that's not going to do shit for no
No.
one, especially if you have kids.
Yeah.
Like, they know how expensive kids are.
Exactly. Girl,
The-
tell me about it.
The issue is the image that of the sex worker being a drugged out,
Crack whore that's like
crack
over here
whore
half
that's
dead.
related to some gangster
Yeah.
who's doing it against her will just for the
Which-
next hit.
Which, of course, it might be the case for some females, or maybe back
Right.
in the days that happened. But
Right.
this,
The survival workers. And
right.
I'm not knocking the survival workers. Everybody has their own, everybody has their own
Right.
battles and shit.
Right.
But for me, like, it's like they don't stop and evaluate the situation. Like,
Right.
whenever it comes to a survivalist, yeah, some of those people are sex trafficked, but there's a difference in being a sex trafficking individual and being a sex worker.
Two different
Exactly.
worlds.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
somehow the old image from the early 80s and the war on drugs has been the one to stick. And
We gotta change that shit. Cause ain't nobody got time for that. This is 2023.
Yeah.
And this is a new reality. This is a new era.
Yeah.
Of sex worker. We're all independent. We all know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And we love what we do.
Yes, 100%. And the biggest thing that gets on my nerves whenever people try to tell me who I am, and they're like, oh, well, you're just this terrible person that just beats the shit out of people, and you're just so bad because God hates you. Like, no, that's not who I am. Like, obviously you don't know who I am. You didn't do your research, because I can tell you right now, the services that I provide, the amount of understanding, compassion, therapy, and time that I provide for these people help them. Like, most individuals that I have, one, feel rejuvenated after the session, whatever scene we're doing, they feel rejuvenated. I've had several tell me that I've helped them more than any therapist ever helped. Have you had subs like that too? Ones that say, oh, well, this is one of the most positive experiences of my life.
Oh my God, all the time. Even 2 days ago, I had a newbie. And he was like, I just really need, I really need this to connect with myself. I don't know what I am. I'm still looking for myself, and I need guidance. I know I'm attracted to this kind of lifestyle. I just don't know where to start.
Right.
And when he walked out of here, he was like a total new person. He was like,
Yeah.
Thank you so much for helping me in this journey and get to know myself better.
Yeah.
And that to me is worth 1,000 words. Like, this is why we do this. A
Fuck
sex
yeah.
worker, full on call girl, or if you are a masseuse that has happy ending, whatever, or a
Right.
dominatrix, we are providing a service, a journey. It's an experience, and that experience is gonna lift you up, and it's gonna make you feel like you're the fucking king of the world, right?
And it helps with the evolution of that individual, because
Yeah.
some people don't know who they are. They need to safely find that. But if it's not in a controlled environment where they can let go and be comfortable and be confident and not worry about being judged and just let it all out, then it's going to be hard to find themselves. I've seen a lot of people do some pretty risky shit because they didn't have that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's how people get hurt.
Oh yeah. That I told
Here I go, fun. The priest in New Orleans. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever read about that?
Highlighted. You can go ahead and tell the story, because I don't know if everybody on the podcast has.
I do you want me to tell the story or?
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
Okay.
I'm all for it.
From what I know and read and heard from inside channels,
'Cause
um,
you probably have the low that I don't, you know,
Huh?
within
I know a
connections.
little bit more, but not too much, because they did have him arrested.
And
All
put a
three
hush
of
on
them.
it.
Yeah, and they did, they removed him from being clergy. I mean,
Right.
which is really, really, really drastic when you're a priest, because you spend more time in school. It takes anywhere from 10 to 12 years to become a priest.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long.
It's a lot of school. It's a lot of money. And it's a lot of BS. And to just rip someone's world away.
It's very
But
political.
priest in New Orleans, he hired two dominatrix.
Mm-hmm.
I think one was actually a dom and one was a call girl, and they were going to film a scene on the
Mm-hmm.
altar. Now, this was a bad idea because the church was all glass.
Oh, yeah.
But he thought he had nowhere else to do it.
Right.
That's where he lived. He was overworked. He has no time off, as most priests don't. They're usually working around 15 to 18-hour days.
Mm-hmm.
They are way overworked. And comes his day off, he tries to close up the church, and little old woman walking her dog is standing there watching as they're setting up this scene, and calls the police. And they arrest all of them, including he who's the pastor of the church. And then the Bishop of New Orleans gets on TV and says, we're gonna fire him, bar him, whatever.
Yeah. So
But
my biggest question is, what kind of stipulations do they have about having that in the church? Like physically to do it in the church, what kind of stipulations do they have?
there's nothing on the books that says you can't have a.
That's what I was thinking. That's why whenever I seen it, I was like, what did this guy do that was so terrible? Because I've never heard of a law saying, hey, you can't do this.
And he's in charge of the church. I mean, he was in charge, unless he's what's called a parochial vicar and he's not the pastor, but I'm pretty sure he was the pastor.
Mm.
And if he's a parochial vicar, he's an assistant priest.
Right.
And the pastor's the head. But from what I read, he was the pastor. And there's nothing saying, I can tell you from my experience in the seminary, I regularly saw my superiors parading through the church in their underwear.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we had a private chapel in our apartment building. But what's the difference here?
Yeah.
I mean,
And that's why I was outraged too. Like, if he wanted to do that, let him do it, because one, he's not hurting anyone. Two, it's not the stereotypical bullshit that has to do with kids. And three, everybody needs to let that shit out. You know what I mean?
And it's not like he was invoking the devil or anything, right?
Yeah.
Like the opposite. It wasn't like he was.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And it's not even like it was an insult to God.
Who the Dom is.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not sure, so I'm not going to comment on that. But to each their
Who
own.
knows what thing they were doing? Yeah, that's true.
I'm not so.
I want to get, when we have a big wedding, I want to get in a latex dress.
Well, you have a latex wedding dress.
I do. We were supposed to get we're married, but
we did it
right.
in a court.
Doing a ceremony, right?
Do the ceremony, and I want to wear like this latex white dress.
One of the problems with a long time that we have experienced this. I was blacklisted from the Catholic Church for obvious reasons.
Yeah, our kids couldn't get baptized.
We couldn't baptize our kids Catholic, and that's one of the reasons I switched
We
churches.
can't get married, like, have the ceremony in the church for a
Now,
while.
I have very, very, very close friends who are Catholic priests that I went to school with. They know exactly the business we run.
Yeah,
Right.
They do not judge me,
no,
but they are the new guard. They're not in power yet. Hopefully, I can
they will.
pray that
Right.
one day things change,
Yeah,
but right now they're not. And it'll probably be at least another 10, 20 years before you start to see things change.
Yeah.
well,
And
hopefully.
that's the really sad thing about it. And that's in the church, in the government, in the communities, all these old people that think that, oh, well, you're only allowed to live this one way. And if you have any kind of alteration, then you're not accepted.
My will
It's
the
slow.
highway.
Yeah. And it's slowly them kind of getting older and becoming dinosaurs, and we're pushing them out. But I mean, it's so slow having the progress. Like,
Yeah.
it's so painful because we know the growth and the potential. All of us, we know, because we're from a more accepting era. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
And theirs is so outdated. And so that's like, I was having a conversation with someone the other day about justices and how some parts of the government, they don't have any kind of term limit. And I'm like, all positions should have a fucking limit, because if all these people don't have term limits and then they're just running the country from the time they're like 25 until they're 150, then
Right.
nothing ever changes.
right. It's true.
Right.
It's true. You're 100% right. I do believe that. They need to have a term limit
Yes.
because when they're fucking dinosaurs and they're not progressive. They're not understanding
They refuse to
new
grow.
generation. The new
Yeah.
generation.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
thank God I came from a very kinky family. My neighbors, everybody
But you know what? When those early days of the relationship, when I was in New York, we went to church together in the
Oh,
Bronx at a Catholic church.
on
and-
Tuesdays.
yes,
and,
I remember. I remember.
it was
beautiful.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
So it didn't
I-
change your kind of perception and relationship with God, because your relationship with God was never affected. You know?
Yeah.
It's just the way people view you.
Yeah.
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
overall, kind of tell me about your experience together. I know that you still experience the spiritual journey together. How does it kind of look different now? So, in your schedule, how does God fit in?
24 hours a day.
I mean, we definitely always pray together. We always
Mhm.
pray as a family.
With our kids.
She has taught me more about her Caribbean
Some things,
take on
Santeria,
Christianity. Yes,
Christianity and saints, and it's a new thing. But
Right.
you knew like the background, of like Santa Anaísa,
Well-
San Michael, stuff like that.
they're all Catholic saints. So
Yeah,
of course I studied them, but
Right.
you know how you pray to them and
Oh,
Yeah.
your altars and whatnot. That was new to me, but I
Oh,
accepted
yeah,
it.
that's true. Yeah, I
I
have an
accepted it.
altar. So I have an altar and I have my saints in the altar. I put the
Mhm.
lights, the candles, I put water, glasses of water. I do the sage, the tobacco, and I pray to God and I pray to the saints. That he never saw that before, and I remember he came to the apartment in the Bronx that I was living in, and I had my altar in this little corner of my bedroom, and he's like, "Ooh, I like that." What is that? What are you doing here? And I'm like, these are my saints, I pray to them every week and I go to
Mhm.
church every week. And
But to answer your question, I mean, our faith journey really developed early on because
Right.
we were both people of faith, and me
Yeah.
being kicked out of the Catholic Church and leaving the Catholic seminary did not stop me being a faithful person.
Good.
And so when we met, our journey just kind of merged together.
Right.
And really, since we had kids and we pray as a family, that's really the only change, because we still do everything we did in the beginning. Because you're just taking two very faithful people
Yeah.
and sticking it together. She's accepted some of my dogmatic views. I've accepted hers, I've taken her to Orthodox masses. She loves them because of the incense and the whole big showy aspect of it. I've gone to her more Franciscan song and dance type praise and worship events. And, it's just being exposed to more aspects of a Christian faith. And,
in different cultures.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. And that shows that there's always room for God in the relationship if you want it.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
It's not hard. You just have to find it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I feel like whenever you get to share that with someone, it's more liberating. Like, you two together get to serve together, not only spiritually, but in person whenever you're practicing BDSM as well. So kind of tell me the relationship between the two. So whenever you switch over into your play atmosphere, what does that look like for you?
Whenever we switch?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
when we're being kinky.
yeah, your dynamic, what does it look like?
Oh,
I mean, she's obviously in complete power. She's the goddess. I'm usually on my knees or lower than that, but a lot of corporal, a lot of impact.
too.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, and then I get the better end than anyone. Obviously, we mix that into it. I'm the one person that gets that aspect.
Yes, he is.
But it's a very submissive role on my end.
Yeah, he doesn't have one dominant with me.
Not with her.
Not with me. With the world.
Right.
Well,
Right.
with
But
me,
that's
it's
different. Yeah. You're in the intimate relationship,
Yeah.
So I know, like, right out the gate, you both had your own roles. It's not like something that had to be established because it was already there. So what kind of play opened up the environment more for you?
He's in denial. Whipping, flogging, definitely flogging.
She definitely liked making my ass bloody. And it turned into this rather painful game that every time I would see her, she wanted to see how much longer she could get the marks to stay. To the point, I remember it being right around Christmas time, and she bought a purse with a spiked strap just to hit me with. And this thing had metal spikes, and every time she'd whack me with it, the spikes would stick into my ass and I could feel them pull out. And I'd be squirting blood all over her apartment. But I'd heal so laser quick because I have too much iron.
Yeah, he has high iron.
It's called hemochromatosis, and it causes me to heal laser quick.
Right.
So
Unbelievable.
It just,
the next stage.
She could never get ahead of it. I only think she ever got up to 3 days.
Yeah, that's it.
So that was a major.
That was like the thing. Yeah,
it was such a fun game to her. We were always playing in the beginning.
We were always fucking.
Always trying new things.
Always fucking, like always. We were like two fucking bunnies.
Yeah.
Now, so it's like, fuck, the schedules. But girl, oh yeah, I couldn't even sit down after a weekend with him.
I was always buying her latex. Latex and boots were a big thing that
and
I was. I was really into,
Mm-hmm.
you know, role play. We were all doing different types of role play.
Yeah.
We never really bothered with any of the dungeon type devices.
Equipment.
It was
Okay.
always, we were always going to nice hotels, going
Yeah.
to, I was always trying to, every week, unless we were at her apartment, I was always trying to take her somewhere fancy,
Yeah.
show her something new. So we were always, I remember one time we made such a mess in the hotel room with rope. It took a very long time to undo all the rope because you had like a spider web of rope and not on purpose.
He's really good on tying knots.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So
Yeah.
tell us about your kinks, because I know you guys did a wide variety of play, and you said that you like latex and boots, so that was kind of playing into the gifts that you would buy her. So tell me what kind of kinks you have.
I would say I really did like the corporal and impact play a lot. And just general submission, me on my knees, her commanding was really the end all be all to me, just submitting to her. That was very, very huge.
It's the love. It was the
Yeah.
love. It was the love. It was the finally the final wow, that's it. I don't have to look any further. God
Yeah.
has shown me the man that I want, and it just made it all. It could have been anything from spitting a little bit, and
Yeah.
that would have been emotional, spiritual, if
Right.
Playing with us is very spiritual and very powerful. Like
Right.
it just takes everything away.
Yeah.
I mean, it is
A lot of
amazing.
times I end up crying.
We both do. Yeah.
We end up
Yeah.
crying after.
And that's a beautiful thing, because you know it's powerful. You know that is powerful. And it's therapeutic, right? Even though
Yeah.
people like to say, oh, well, this is such a terrible thing. I've always found that all of my experiences with it are very therapeutic. Now, there are bad situations, of course. There's always that exception because of an individual that's not educated or someone that pushes boundaries or some
Right.
shit, but that shouldn't
No.
happen to begin with. But it's always very therapeutic whenever it's done right for me, right? Do you
Yeah.
guys feel that afterward?
Oh yes. Oh yes. And we could have had a hard day in our regular day-to-day life,
Mhm.
whatever. We come home and we play a little. Even if we're tired, we play a
Yeah.
little, let's say, the kids are at grandma's or whatever.
Yeah.
And we play, and it's just like it unstresses us.
Right.
And it brings
Takes us away from life
Yeah.
stresses.
Takes you away from life stresses. It unclogs your chakras.
Mhm.
I don't even know how. It's like a spiritual thing that you can
Right.
you can see the person's aura. Like my husband can
Mhm.
see my aura sometimes, and he's like, "Baby, you have a white aura. You have a blue aura, right?"
When I take the picture, see, that's another part to our play is I'm always filming content during our play for the website, which is fun.
It
I
is
love
fun.
it.
Yeah,
I
and it's
love
fun.
Yeah, and that's super awesome too, because some people do not have someone like that that's on an intimate level that they can do that with. So that's really
Right.
fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's intimate, and it's like I said before, I don't really do videos. So
Mhm.
it was something that he introduced to me,
Right.
and I'm like, okay, well, I'll do it. I'll dabble, with
Right.
you. I feel safe. Let's
Yeah.
do it,
And I know how
and
to
it's
film
fun.
her. Yes.
And it's fun, and it's another step because we're always evolving, right? As
Right.
human beings,
As you
we're
should
always
be. Right.
evolving, and we're always trying new things, and
Right.
so I'm like, yeah, okay, fuck it, let's do it. All right, let's
Yeah.
do it together. And it's fun. It's
Fuck
a
yeah.
lot of fun,
Fuck yeah.
Absolutely.
right? It's fun.
So
Oh, I freaking love it. I mean, I love filming you. I love making the videos with you.
I love having him submit to me, and we can lay back at night, eat some popcorn, watching our own video.
Mhm. And those are the best kind, right? Like I always
Yeah.
like mine better than anything I can find on the internet. I always like mine better.
So true, so true.
So tell me about um the relationship dynamic whenever it comes to being like in comparison to work relationships, your other pets, your other slaves, or like the dating world. So what does that look like for you? Is it kind of like a monogamous kind of relationship? Is it considered like a poly kind of relationship? Like what do you consider yourselves, and how does your other relationships play into that?
Okay, so I'm not into open relationships.
Yeah, we're
Mhm.
straight monogamous.
Yeah.
The other slaves, you know, it's,
I'm 100% honest with them. I'm like, listen, I'm a
Right.
married woman. You ain't gonna get this, all right?
Yeah.
This is not.
Right.
But you can get other stuff that's way above that.
Right.
Keep and they accept it. They know it because most of them already know I can go. I can go get it. I get it from my wife. I get it from my girlfriend. I get.
Yeah.
I want something more, and that's where.
and we have, there's a certain number of slaves that we have here. They all, if they become a personal slave, I obviously know them,
Right.
Yeah.
and they come to the house and they'll be kneeling we'll be laying in bed cuddling and they'll be kneeling there holding our drinks. I mean,
Yeah.
Mhm.
it happens. I
Yeah.
mean,
Or we come over here at the dungeon as date nights.
right.
And we'll have a personal slave come here and cuckold or something,
Right.
play like
Yeah.
that, and we're open to that idea, but
Yeah.
I don't
We don't
want to
share
share.
a partner.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. So I always like to look at the dynamics of the relationship because believe it or not, I have met so many people that are in sex work, even porn stars, that are active in their sexual life that are monogamous. Like that is only work, and they only commit to one person and then they work. Other than that, they don't do any kind of intimate relationships.
Right.
So it's really cool that you guys have that relationship, especially since I know I have seen an incline in cuckold slaves. So that
Yeah.
was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Do you see that a lot? Do you have a
I
lot of
had 3 in
cuckolds?
the past, 2 days?
Mm,
3 requests for that in the past 2 days.
yeah.
Today I had someone new and they're like, yeah, cuckold, please.
Are you speaking on like a couple coming to us wanting to be slaves?
No.
No.
Cuckold is like,
She's talking about cuckolding.
yeah,
Okay.
like being like
Yes.
watching us having sex and stuff like that.
Yes.
I have very bad hearing, sorry.
Yeah.
That's okay. And I mean, whenever you're kind of diving into the diversity in it, it can be confusing too, right? Because I did have a couple that approached me for a cuckolding session. I cuckold the husband
Right.
fucking the wife.
Right.
So you do see stuff like that, but it's more common for me to have just the solo male that's like, I want a cuckolding session. And a lot, like there's a lot of people that are
Yeah.
into cuckolding, like
Yeah.
a lot.
See, that's one thing. I'm bisexual. So
Mhm.
my husband knows that I'm into girls. And I told him,
Yeah.
I said, look, I ain't gonna cheat on you with no man, but
Right.
honey, girls.
You're gonna know when I need some cooch.
I'm not gonna cheat. You know what I mean? It's just like the women are just beautiful. And so,
Yes.
so beautiful. So
Yes.
we women are just we're goddesses, and we create life and we nurture, we cater. It's
Yeah.
just beautiful when you have that chemistry with a female.
Yes. I completely agree. 100%.
Yeah.
So I've noticed that you guys have amazing chemistry. So earlier on in the interview, we were kind of talking about how early on you kind of knew that it just worked for you. So I'm curious as to if the chemistry was always like that in the beginning, or if it kind of grew with the length of your relationship.
It's been unchanging since the beginning.
Yeah, if
The
anything,
only,
it gets powerful, like more soul-like, but we knew I was walking on clouds.
yes, yeah. I mean, I really don't see a huge difference between when we met to now. It's
Yeah.
just evolved with more experiences and
And
more memories.
maturity,
Yeah.
maturity, we were both, that was 7 years ago. A lot of shit happens in 7 years.
Yeah. And with that experience that you gain, it's one of those, you don't have to have like trial and error, like buttons. You can
Right.
just find that shit like straight out. I know that's one of my, I guess, one of the things that I like most about having consistency with someone is the growth, and you know where you're going. You don't have
Yeah.
to like fumble around. Like, it's cool to, become adventurous and try new things, but you know how to get there.
Yeah,
You know?
you know what triggers them,
Yeah.
what might come up that you need to slow down and understand them. They know what to do with you. That is,
Right.
we've had that, and it's just growing and growing more and more. He
Yeah.
knows more of me than I know myself sometimes.
Yeah. I fucking love
And I hope I'm the same with you.
You do. You
I
do.
it.
Like, baby, what's going on? What's going on? He's like, oh, nothing. I'm like, yes, there's something. You're not telling me.
Good. So, with, of course, I know you said that like there are like movie nights whenever you're not playing. So what do you do in your free time for each other that isn't play? Like, what do you do for the other?
Everything. My day is focused on her 100%. And I mean, she's always doing little this and that for me, but I don't think
I
there's
like cooking.
Mm.
Yes, she loves cooking.
So I'm always cooking, for him, for the family.
Yeah.
It's usually too healthy.
Too healthy.
But I'm always leaving her love notes.
Flowers every week.
I'm always ordering her stuff online to surprise her. I'm always even if I wake up in the middle of the night, I'll write her a message that I'm thinking of her just at freaking 3:35 in the morning.
Yep. And then I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, baby, you wrote me this note. It's so cute. It's true. It's true. And he helps me around the house. Laundry, mopping the floors if we need to, if we don't have somebody coming over and clean the house. It's just everything from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. His way of showing me his love language is always servitude,
Oh,
and I think that's one of the things. Yeah, that's one of the things that has never changed. Never change. And I hope it won't.
No.
Whip yet.
You're gonna have a conversation if it does. So that leads me to asking, is at any point, I know you said that his love language is kind of like servitude, gifts. So at any point do you feel like you have to do something negative to get her attention?
No, do I have to do something negative, like in terms of getting punished to get her attention?
Yes.
Not really. When I'm in need of play, she generally knows it because I'm usually.
She reads you.
Yeah, she reads me
I
very,
can
very,
read.
very
I can
well.
definitely. I can read.
Really, yeah.
I can read that. And I do notice that when you do want to play like really bad, right? And he just starts like grabbing my butt, And I'm like, ooh, somebody wants some. Yes, goddess.
I love it. So,
Yeah.
whenever you want to play, what are some key things that you do to tell him?
You're gonna get on your fucking knees today.
Love it.
So get fucking ready. Or I send him to drop off the kid somewhere. He comes back and I'm like with the whip, waiting for him at the door. Like, yeah. He's like, okay, time to take off everything. We got 2 hours. Let's go.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. So that kind of leads me to if you're talking to another couple, say that they really don't know how to navigate a relationship together. What
Right.
advice would you give them for navigating a BDSM relationship?
Be completely honest with each other, because a lot of times they're shy of sharing. They don't want to really completely pull their heart out because they're afraid of judgment.
Or being vulnerable.
But being vulnerable, that
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
intimacy, because they're letting somebody else see into them.
Yeah.
So always communication. That's the first thing. That's the first rule. Without that, there's
Yeah.
nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What do you
Right.
think?
I agree. I agree.
I mean, if I there's so many times before my husband, I dated, and it was just so hard because a lot of people the people that I was dating, they didn't understand that I'm not gonna fucking stop being a dominatrix.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not.
They
You know,
think that you're gonna like completely change your life whenever you start dating them.
right.
I have to tell you this quick story. I lost one of my very long-term faithful submissives back in January at the beginning of the year because essentially he gave me an ultimatum. He said, well, I want to be with you. I want to date you, but I don't want you dating anyone else. And I'm polyam.
Right.
So he's like, I don't want you dating anyone else. You can't see any more submissives. I'll give you a monthly stipend and I will be your only relationship. And I'm like, that doesn't work for me on multiple levels. One, because he only offered me $2,000.
Right.
And then two,
Yeah, that's important.
yeah. And then two, like to serve me because he served me for over a year, close to a year and a half. And he knew who I was. And then he was asking me to not be myself. Like, how can someone be that selfish? They come into your life knowing who and what you are, and then they're like, I want you to change.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
are you lost?
Right.
Like,
Yep.
that was painful because it's those moments where you're like, you've been with me long enough that you kind of at least know a little bit about me. Like, damn.
Exactly. You should know that, hey, you can't. No, you can't. This is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
good for you for standing your ground.
Yeah,
Congratulations,
absolutely.
girl.
man.
I'm glad you didn't take that offer.
And it's like, I feel like most men, they kind of feel a sense of entitlement after you get comfortable, like after the relationship is comfortable.
Yeah.
And have you ever had a submissive like that?
Okay. I need the charger. My husband's getting the charger.
Okay. They get like comfortable in the relationship and then they're like, well, I want you to change this now. Have you ever had any subs like that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hubby says I had a lot of those.
Yeah.
Have I?
Yeah, no,
Here,
it
I'll
might not
get it.
even
You tell that story then.
might not even be a submissive that wants to date her, but subs that get jealous of having sessioning too
Yeah.
much, and they might be getting close to the personal level. Or, they're on a monthly rate instead of
Right. Per
an
session.
hourly.
Yeah.
And they're all of a sudden, oh, well, well, fuck you.
They feel a
Yeah.
sense of entitlement. That reminds me of another submissive that I had. He was under the impression he had served me for a long time. We were coming up on our 2nd year of servitude, and he's like, well, I just think everything's about money now to you, because I've always they always have to pay deposit, right?
Yeah.
And then if I'm renting a space, hotel, whatever, that has to be paid before, because I'm not spending my money on it.
Right.
And then of course the rest is due on the day of. Well,
Right.
he got to where he didn't want to send deposit. And I'm like, no, like this is not an exception. And one time he's like, well, I'm going to send deposit for tomorrow's session, because it was one of those spur of the moments. I don't do spur of the moments, but since he had served me for almost 2 years, I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
So he sent the deposit, and then he's like, oh, well, I can't make it today, something came up. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll just use that deposit for the next session.
Right.
Well, after that session, we used the deposit, everything carried over. And then for his next scheduling, he's like, well, I don't want to send the deposit. What if I can't make it? And I'm like, well, then that's for your fucking fault.
Yeah. That's your shit. That's not mine. What about my time, my gas?
Like, it has to be reserved, because what if you stand me up and then I don't have whatever time slot I had set up for you doesn't get filled? Like,
Right.
that's loss of money.
Yep.
Right.
And then he's like, oh, well, I think it's all about money with you. Like, nah, bitch, you knew this was a business when you came in.
Yep.
Right.
Like, so
Yep.
the sense of entitlement gets ridiculous with
I
some of them.
Yeah.
I really feel that from what I've watched day in, day out of this place, it grows with time. As more money gets spent, and sometimes I feel these DOMs that keep the communication down, and I don't want it to end up being this way, because this personal touch is everything. Your hearts and souls do go into this business.
Yes.
Yeah.
And but there's certain DOMs that, when you book a session, it's like talking to a computer. And I think they have scripted responses as copy and paste.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the session's over, there is no communication until the next session,
Until you book.
and
Yeah.
that's the only way I can see the sense of entitlement not coming into play,
Right.
where there is no back and forth. Hey, how are you doing? Little chit chat here and there.
Right.
The aftercare, like over text, like how do you
And
feel?
I like to be able to give to people like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like those people that grow entitled and get super defensive, because at the end of the day, I'm a person too, and I'm not going to have chemistry with everyone.
Exactly.
As a dominatrix, we don't have chemistry with everyone. Like, you're not just coming there and giving us your money and then being like, oh, well, I expect you to do it because I paid you. Like, if we don't flow, then I'm going to be like, get the fuck out, take your money and get the fuck out. You know what I mean?
I've done that. Yep.
Yeah.
That's true.
They think
That's
that,
true.
oh, well, you have to take my money. Like, bitch, no, I
No.
don't.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I've given it away. I was like, get out, just take it.
Yeah. I've literally, people book, they send me the deposit and they say some kind of shit. And I'm just like, you're a terrible fucking person online. You're probably going to be like that in real life. Refund deposit. And I was like, you know what? Go find someone else.
Yep.
Because I'm not
I've
trying to do
done
it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not trying to fucking do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, with your relationship dynamic, is it something that you are completely face out and open with? Like, does everyone in your life know about the relationship dynamic?
Yes. Yes. I mean, everyone.
My family's kinky.
Right.
Yes.
Family's they love me.
Before we owned this place, this cross was in our bedroom.
Yeah.
There was no hiding it.
His father, my father-in-law walked in one day. Oh my God.
Didn't flinch.
Didn't flinch. I was like, baby, your dad.
Not.
He didn't even flinch. My sister, and I was like, yeah, we're kinky. Oh, okay, cool.
My family, they might not be the most kinky, but my dad's
Understanding.
yeah.
They're
Accepting.
understanding. They're not just, yeah, accepting, you know, they know that
Good.
I love this man, he loves me, you
Right.
know, and
Safe
we're
and
gonna do both.
consensual.
Yeah, safe and consensual, and we're two adults and we're raising a beautiful family.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, yeah, you guys are happy. You guys are great for each other, you know?
Yeah. I fucking love it.
And my
Fucking love it.
family's like, oh, okay, nice. Yeah, go ahead. You know, like, yeah.
Well, we both know that your family's a lot into the kink anyway, so it's like
Oh, yeah.
it's like normal for
Like,
you.
yeah, okay, yeah. She got married.
I love it. So before your relationship started with him and you just knew that you wanted to be with him, was there anyone else in your life that you thought, this could be the person? Or was he the only person that you wanted to be like, this is my forever?
No, I definitely, I wrote a letter to God, like, I think it was like a week or 2 weeks before we met, and I wrote it to God because I was in a relationship that didn't work out.
Right.
And I was just like so heartbroken because I said, God, please send me a God-loving man. Like, send me a God-loving man. Oh, and he did, honey. He sent me. I was like,
Literal
send me
priest.
Catholic
A
one.
literal priest.
You know, and I'm like, God, send me somebody that's gonna love my son. I had a son at, you know, my firstborn, and send me somebody that can will accept that I'm a dominatrix.
Yeah.
Because God, if this is what my life calling is, I need you to put a man that is strong next to me, that understands,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
that I'm a dominatrix and accepts it, and we can grow together.
Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah. 100%. Because I mean, in all reality, it takes a strong person to be a mate with a dominatrix. Because let me tell you, there's going to be people looking at them. I mean, yeah, they're not going to be like engaging in sexual acts, but there's people going to be looking at them sexually. And not everybody is confident and comfortable with that because we get looked at as like fetish dispensers. Some people see us as fetish dispensers. You get sexualized, and people that are really insecure or kind of they have internal issues and are not really that strong, they would have a problem with that, right?
Right. What's a fetish dispenser?
Someone that just throws out, throws out pegging, throws out latex.
Yeah. So instead of
Like
them seeing you as a human, they see you as
a
like
machine.
a machine
Oh.
that spits out fetish.
Right.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Ya entendí. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I get that a lot now with like online shit. Like I've had several people say, "Oh, well, you're not wearing." They'll be like, "Okay, so what do you wear on your normal day?" And I'm like, "Well, today I'm wearing like jeans and a fucking tank top." And they're like, "What? You mean you're not dressed in full latex?" And I'm like, "No, because I don't wear that 24/7." And they're like, "Well, you're not a real dominatrix, and I can't serve you." And I'm like,
Who the fuck? Mm-hmm.
"Yeah," because again, they expect you to be like this persona from these videos that they watch, and they don't know what
24
real
hours
fucking
a
dom
day.
is.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you can't wear like some kind of latex all the time. You know how bad that is for your skin to wear that like 24/7?
It's not able to
Breathe.
breathe. It
Yeah.
won't breathe. Yep. Yeah. You will literally faint and you'll be gasping for air. Even though your mouth is exposed and it's open, your biggest organ is covered in latex. If you're wearing a catsuit, let's say,
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I try to explain to some of these people, but I'm going to tell you, not all of them are realistic. It's like those people that come in and they're like, I've never had a session before, but I want you to break my legs. No, I'm not.
Oh, I love those people. I want castration.
Yeah.
Can you chop my dick off for? I'll give you $500.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like,
Yeah.
no, that's not gonna happen.
That's not what we're here for, honey. You need to go to another country or something. Do that.
You need a psychologist.
Yeah. definitely that.
Let's work on the mental aspect first before we get to the physical one.
Yeah, yep, yep.
Because some
I
of these
can't do
people,
it. No, there's some things I can do mentally, but no. This is way above my pay grade.
yeah, yeah. Like, well, I had this one guy that was, he had never really had a session with a dominatrix. And he actually found me on a streaming site and he's like, I want you to be my first official dominatrix. And I'm like, okay, well, I have to know specifics. And he ended up having like this crazy fantasy where he wanted me to find a bunch of random men and have him gang raped. And I'm like, no,
Yeah,
like
Right.
I can't
Orchestrate.
I can't morally and ethically be comfortable doing that
right,
because he wasn't okay with the idea of it being like orchestrated, being like, oh, well, let me find like 5 people that I know that are
right. Then
safe,
you already
that are
know.
clean. Yeah, no,
Mhm.
he's like, I want you to like go on the street and pick off 5 random people. And I'm like, no,
No,
not gonna happen. Like ever. Like I'm not comfortable with that on any level for multiple reasons. Like your health, physically, your mental health, like my name is on the line, like my brand is on the line. I'm not trying to have some kind of blowback, somebody being like, oh, well, this person had me raped. Like, no, I'm not
yeah,
okay with that.
exactly,
I'm not.
exactly,
It's all about consensual and being safe, and that is neither one of those.
exactly.
Like,
Yep.
so since you guys have been together, have you had anyone that has asked for something like ridiculously crazy like that and you've been like, no, absolutely not?
The guy that wanted castrated.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
She handed me the text and how do I answer this? Well, easy, no.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we did tell him to go and seek a doctor help, no?
yeah,
A psychiatrist.
there have been a couple that like castration fantasy that's there. I
Yeah.
don't really understand it. I don't think they understand what they're asking for, but
Yeah,
A
it's
lot
weird.
of it is just the imagery. So they're trying to get
right.
off on what you text them back. They're not gonna like show up and want you to chop their dick off or their balls off.
Yeah,
They're just like, let me get them to talk about it, and then they're gonna live up that fantasy, and they're over here, jerking while
yeah,
you're
that's what I
talking about
kind
it.
of figured.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, but that's it, I think.
um, trying to think of. I field a lot of the website is when she gets a difficult one.
No, that's about it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, the frustration.
So has there ever been any time that you've had like an active session where you've been like, yeah, no, I don't feel safe with you catering to that?
Well, no, but there was this one guy that something happened that I was like, get out. And I gave him, was it? Oh, and he was young too.
Oh, yes. Okay. So, uh,
And I was like, get out. No. And
there was we had a request where the session, it was just, and he wanted to pay the hourly rate, fine,
Mhm.
but he wanted to interview her,
Mm.
talk.
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
it was
And
weird. It was just weird.
he comes in, he's from California,
Mhm.
and they're talking, and she texts me like,
All of a sudden, he started asking me, have you ever had anybody kill for you?
and she starts this serial killer talk,
Yeah.
and she
Like,
texts me to be on guard.
I was like,
Uh,
what do you mean? Like kill
Right.
for me? Like, yeah, like be so infatuated with you that you have them kill somebody for you. And I'm like, no, honey, that's no.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a loving goddess. I like giving life, not taking it away.
Right. Yeah.
You
And
know?
that can be a scary situation too, right?
Oh, it
Because
was scary.
what's this guy's intentions?
right.
Yes. It was scary. And the way he was looking at me was just weird.
And then he tried to grab her on the way out. Then that was that.
Well,
Yeah.
I gave him a nice hug. I was like, thank you for coming. It was nice. Now, go,
Right. Yeah.
Say bye.
Yeah.
That was creepy. That was scary and creepy.
Well, I'm
He
I'm
just
glad you're fucking
interviewed.
safe. Yeah.
If he
Like,
sees this interview, don't do this again to anybody else, because
yeah,
it
no.
ain't gonna do any good.
And like, if it was one of those situations where he was confused, maybe, because I mean, like autistic, sometimes high functioning autistic can do things and they don't understand what they're doing, right?
Mhm.
So I think it's a matter of them not knowing how to communicate. I don't know about this guy. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh no,
that's
he knew
terrible terms.
exactly what
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
he knew.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
some
he
people
wasn't in the
could not
spectrum.
know, but it sounds like this guy did know, and he's like
Yeah,
trying to take advantage of the situation. And
right. He
like,
was not in the spectrum. No,
so how did it? I'm curious, what kind of interview did he tell you that he wanted?
he just wanted to talk to me for a whole hour. He paid the money and everything. We just sat down in the couch right over here when I was
Yeah.
here, and we were just talking. He was sitting over here, and I was sitting here, and we were
So
just
he
talking
didn't tell
about
you like what kind
plants.
of questions or anything?
no.
No.
Hmm.
He asked me what's my favorite plant, what
Hmm.
flowers I like, and then he started asking me that, and I just found my whole body just shivered. Like I was like,
Yeah.
okay, no, I'm a very Catholic woman. I like giving life. I
Yeah.
don't like
Well,
taking it away.
it sounds like he was trying to get work in a fantasy of almost like a sociopath. Like, I'm preparing myself for this situation. I need a reason to be in this mindset. If I were fixated on this individual, I wonder how they would feel if I dug into my darkest desires for them. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, it
Yeah.
sounds like a role play thing he was trying to work out in his head.
I
Yeah.
think that's the way I've thought of it. I do not
Yeah.
take him as a run-of-the-mill crazy. There was something very dark about this individual.
Yeah.
He definitely did not like being asked to leave, even
Mhm.
though it was only maybe 10 minutes early.
Yeah.
Right.
And he definitely, so about a week after he left, we get a package delivered to here.
Mhm.
From Amanda.
For Amanda, can't figure out who it's from.
We
It
still
was
don't know who it's
from,
from.
it was
Mhm.
from him.
It was a plant. I mean, who else? We were talking about plants before he started talking
Yeah.
about.
And it was
Yeah.
a very odd choice that he made
Yeah.
in terms of plants, and it was definitely delivered to send a message. He was
Yeah.
a sick individual.
Yeah. So early on, whenever you were questioning him, or whenever he was questioning you, rather, did he have any signs that you noticed right away, Amanda, or was it something that he kind of
The
hid that?
vibe.
Yeah.
It was just the vibe. It was just,
So did he
you
have it
know
in the
how we are,
beginning?
energy. We're energy. We read
Yeah.
energy. We get the vibe. We just get, and I don't know. It was just,
You just
I
felt
just
it.
felt like I couldn't breathe in a
Yeah.
sense. Like
Yeah.
even before he started talking about anything like that, even just
Yeah.
talking about flowers, it was just
Right.
okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
That's fucking crazy. And you know, that's scary as shit. I remember, okay, so anybody that's listening that doesn't know, a bunch of the times whenever anyone is mentioning online, oh, there's a cash meet, this is a person I didn't know, most of that's a fucking lie. Okay. So there's not just random people showing up, like random doms showing up, expecting somebody to like pay them thousands of dollars. Like, that's set up for that kind of fetish, right? Like, yeah, sometimes people do that, but the majority of the time, it's one of those things where it's premeditated, it's set up. Well, I remember years ago, there was this lady, it was a young baby dom that was very impressionable. And this older gentleman kind of took advantage of her being young and not knowing what she was doing. And he had her hit him with a car, show up for a cash meet. And he's like, well, this is part of it. You have to run over me with your car. And she's like, oh, well, this is normal. And he's like, yeah, they all do it. And this baby dom runs this guy over with the fucking car. Like, it's videoed. And then he's like, yeah, put it on Twitter and, let everybody see, and everybody like, and I remember years ago, and I'm just like, the lack of fucking crazy shit that happens because people believe that you just show up to random strangers and then you just do whatever they ask. No, you don't do that.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
ever. And if you
Yep.
feel something's off, somebody asks you to fucking hit them with a car, or
Yeah.
in this case, somebody's like, what would you do
Hit
if I killed
reverse
someone?
and get the fuck out of there.
Bye. No.
Yeah,
No
hit
thanks.
reverse and get out of there. Do a U-turn.
Ah, because that's crazy shit. That
Yeah.
comes into things that could follow you for the rest of your life.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Like you could go to fucking jail.
Yeah.
You could have charges brought against you. You could literally lose your life. Like there's a lot of things. And I don't know about everyone else, but I'm not okay with losing my entire life for some fucking stranger that wants to be hit by a car.
Exactly. Yep, exactly.
No.
Or anyone, as a matter of fact, even if it's somebody that you know. No, honey.
Yeah, no. I'm good. Like
Yep.
I got enough struggles in life. I don't need that one too.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Woo. So I'm super, super glad that we got to talk to both of you and kind of see the relationship growth and kind of thank you for giving new couples kind of information about kind of where to start. So I know you guys have been together for quite some time now, 7 years. Tell me what the secret is for the longevity of your relationship.
Submit to your woman. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
That's part of it.
That's a good answer. And I will tell men who want to be with a dominant woman to truly make it work and get past the many roadblocks that there are going to be: patience,
Mhm.
trust, and also submission.
Well, communication, definitely.
Yeah, open
Well,
communication.
yeah, with trust, there needs to be
Right.
a
Yeah.
full open communication, trust, and then obviously submission.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the secret. You do those, it'll work.
I fucking love it. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us
Welcome.
with Forbidden Depths, and all the listeners, thank you so much for being here. Remember to go follow Miss Amanda over on Twitter at Amanda L.A. Fatale. That's Fatale. Make sure you go follow because it's amazing over on Twitter, right? She
Thank
also
you.
conveniently has a pinned post if you want to be a good boy or girl and get her something from Wish Tinder. She has a wish list.
Oh yeah, I made it yesterday.
Well, it is conveniently there for everyone that wants to
Yeah.
appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're so welcome.
Thank you for having us. It's been such a blast. We gotta do this together.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. You guys have an
Yeah.
amazing day, and I will see you on the next
You too.
episode.
All right, love.
Bye-bye.
Hey, it's Queen Frostbitten again, your host. I just want to remind you that you can follow us on YouTube at Forbidden Depths. That's FORBIDDENDEPTHS. Or over on Twitter at the number 4 BIDDENDPODCAST. Remember to always stay educated, consensual, and safe. We'll see you on the next show.